Before starting this session, I would like to give some disclaimers. Most of the questions and their answers discussed in these sections are subjective. Different companies follow different processes. That's why I believe there are no correct or wrong answers for these questions. However, there might be better answers than the ones discussed here. So, with this disclaimer, let's hit the road. Explain the SOC team architecture or the hierarchy. SOC team consists of L1 security analysts, L2 security analysts, L3 security analyst, or some people also call it as SOC lead, and then there would be a SOC manager. Traditionally, these were the roles in SOC, but however, the current day SOC, also called as next generation SOC, are evolving and have additional roles like threat intelligence team, threat hunter, incident handler, forensic investigator, incident response automation engineer, and red team specialist. Explain the roles and responsibilities of L1 and L2 security analyst in SOC. For L1 security analyst, the roles would be 24/7 eyes on glass monitoring, analysis of triggered alerts, usually following a run book, raising tickets for validated incidents, follow up with incident response team for remediation, drafting shift handovers, and occasionally assist L2s and L3s in reporting. The responsibility of security analyst level 2 includes deep dive analysis of escalated alerts, assist in incident remediation, assist L1 in alert analysis, maintaining and improving standard operating procedures and processes, troubleshoot basic SIM issues. As a SOC lead, what are your responsibilities? Responsibilities for a SOC lead include installation, updating, upgrading of SIM solution, onboarding of log sources and working on log source issues, create and fine-tune content in SIM like correlation rules, dashboards, reports, lists, etc. Interact with SIM vendor TAC, that is Technical Assistance Center, to fix any issues with SIM. Install, manage and build content in SIM. Mentor L1 and L2 security analysts. Assist in analysis that requires involvement of multiple teams. Evaluate new solutions for SOC team. Create runbooks for all alerts, and also sometimes schedule shift rosters. What are the different SOC models that you know of? One is the in-house SOC, that is an organization runs its own SOC. People, processes and technologies are all managed by the people within the organization. Then there is MSSP, Managed Security Service Provider, or some people call it as Managed Security Provider. Within MSSP, there is a dedicated MSSP model wherein a team of people with the service provider work for a client. Here the client typically have their own technology, that is SIM and other tools will be hosted in client's data center. Within MSSP, there is also a shared model wherein a team of people with service provider monitor and analyze logs coming in from various clients. In this model, the technology is hosted in service provider's data center. And then there is also hybrid SOC, which is a mix of both in-house as well as MSSP. Typically, this is done by outsourcing the L1 monitoring to MSSP, and the organization runs L2 and incident response in-house. Which model is better, MSSP or in-house? Both the models have their advantages and shortcomings. In-house SOC is more effective as the organization can customize everything as per business requirements. Since the number of technologies in an organization is limited, the focus will be on getting best value out of each solution. However, in-house SOC is very expensive to implement. MSSP model will reduce the cost of ownership and operational expenses. However, the output of SOC like reports, alerts, recommendations will be very generic. Hybrid SOC gives a better results, but it is still expensive to implement. What is SLA? SLA stands for Service Level Agreement. In SOC, it is mostly the time taken for a SOC team to identify and report a suspicious activity. SLAs are associated with priorities, and most of the companies follow these SLAs. For P1 incident, it is 30 minutes, P2 1 hour, P3 2 hours, and P4 up to 4 hours. Why does an organization need SOC team? One of the main benefits of having a security operations center is that it improves security incident detection through constant monitoring and analysis. It shifts to proactive approach rather than the reactive approach of the company. Monitoring 24/7, a SOC is capable to provide organization with an advantage to defend against intrusion regardless of the type of the attack at any time. SOC can also help to meet the regulatory compliances. The same question can be reframed and asked as to, when we have endpoint security and network security teams, why do we need SOC team? Traditionally, all the preventive technologies like antivirus, firewall, IPS work separately and needs dedicated skills to manage them. However, a SOC team helps in correlating activities happening at different parts of the network. SOC team helps in getting the better visibility of the overall security posture of the company. What do you document in an incident? We should document things like incident name, incident description, the priority of the incident, when did it occur time, when was it detected, reported by, typically the SOC team, assigned to the incident response team or endpoint security, network security teams, affected host, IP, user, business unit. Depending on the type of the incident, there might be a host affected or an IP affected, so we need to highlight that. Information gathered, analysis done, evidence, it could be in the form of raw logs or screenshots, etc. And finally, we also provide recommendations as a part of incident. What ticketing tool have you worked on? Most widely used ticketing tools include ServiceNow, BMC Remedy, Jira, RSA Archer. Apart from SIM, what other tools have you worked on? Here, the interviewer wants to know what are the preventive technologies that your company is using currently, right? So we can always highlight things like I have worked on preventive technologies like endpoint security and firewall, IPS, vulnerability assessment, proxy, email gateway, WAF. Again, you need to highlight the vendor which you are comfortable with. Also, apart from SIM, we also work with analysis tools like IP Void, Virus Total, Wireshark, MX Toolbox, CVE Details, US Cert, IBM X-Force, ThreatCrowd, etc. Utility tools like ticketing tool, Process Explorer, Process Monitor, and various malware analysis tools can also be used. What is false positive, false negative, true positive, and true negative? A true positive is an outcome where the model correctly predicts the positive case. That is, downloaded file is a malware, AV detected it as a malware. A true negative is an outcome where the model correctly predicts the negative case. That is, downloaded file is not a malware, AV did not detect it as a malware. A false positive is an outcome where the model incorrectly predicts the positive case. That is, downloaded file is not a malware, AV detected it as a malware. A false negative is an outcome where the model incorrectly predicts the negative case. That is, downloaded file is a malware, AV did not detect it as a malware. The effects of these are true positive and true negatives are very ideal cases, that is when the solutions are working perfectly well. False positives will increase the workload and leads to alert fatigue. That means there will be too many alerts to look at. And false negatives is very dangerous because in this case, the malicious activity is happening and the solution did not detect it. Explain your team in numbers and hierarchy. We have 10 people in our team with 6 L1 analysts, 2 L2 security analysts, 1 lead, and 1 SOC manager. Our team reports to a CISO in our company for an in-house SOC, and for a MSSP, it could be the client CISO. L1 analysts monitor the network 24/7 and do analysis based on standard operating procedures or playbooks. L2 analysts help in deep dive analysis and also assist L1s during analysis. Threat intelligence and threat hunting responsibilities are shared between L1 and L2 analysts. What are the numbers in your SOC? That is, how many log sources do you have? So you can always say around 2800. Number of logs per day, 25 million logs. Number of alerts per day, somewhere around 100 to 130. Number of incidents per day, somewhere close to around 2 to 5. There might be some days where we might not even raise any incident at all. What are the different reports or dashboards you generate? There are three major types of reports typically generated in SOC. One is technology report, SIM performance report, and SOC performance report. Technology reports include malware summary, firewall summary, account management summary, authentication summary, proxy summary, email summary, and threat management summary. It is important to note what we highlight in each of these reports. For example, in malware summary, we highlight things like number of infections, host infected, user using the machine during infection, malware type and malware name, action taken by the antivirus, file name and file path. In firewall summary, we have inbound and outbound traffic, and also we have allowed and denied traffic. So we have 4 different types of traffic generated in firewall summary, like inbound allowed, inbound deny, outbound allowed, outbound denied. In account management, we highlight things like account created, deleted, enabled, disabled, lockout, privilege changes, and password resets. Similarly, we highlight each of these things in each of the technology reports. Please take a look at it. Following that, there will be SIM reports wherein we include things like EPS, that is events per second, new log sources that have been identified, silent log sources that have been which are not reporting logs, and new correlation rules that have been written. SOC performance report will include things like number of alerts, number of incidents by severity, SLA adherence, number of escalations. Explain the incident response process. SANS defines the incident response process in 6 stages, which includes preparation, identification, containment, eradication, recovery, and lesson learned. NIST also defines very similar incident response process in its SP 861. In this, they have combined containment, eradication, and recovery into one single stage. Explain SIM implementation phases. The phases can be highlighted as, first thing is asset management. That means we need to make a list of all the assets. Define the scope for SOC monitoring and analysis. Log source onboarding preparation. That means create the necessary accounts, open the necessary ports. Implement SIM. Onboard log sources. Use out-of-the-box content like dashboards, reports, and rules. Announce go live. And during this, analyst will start getting comfortable with the tool. And finally, we can start customizing the SIM solution as per our requirement. Explain SOC implementation phases. It starts with defining the scope, implementing technologies, hire and build the team, develop policies, processes, and procedures, and take the SOC to CMM level 3, that is to a defined state, and then develop KPIs. After some times, we need to start measuring how the SOC is doing, and finally, we need to automate. Explain SOC workflow. It all starts with events from log sources and alerts from monitoring tools fed into SIM. SIM will do the correlation and generate new cases. All these cases appear in the open queue and will be picked up by L1 analysts. So the L1 analyst does the analysis using standard operating procedures, and he has three decisions to make. One is the case is a false positive, in which case he will close the case. If the alert tends to be a real security incident, the analyst will open an incident in enterprise-wide ticketing tool like Remedy4 and assign it to appropriate subject matter expert. The SME remediates the issue as per recommendations made by SOC team. SME closes the Remedy4 incident. Once this incident is closed in Remedy4, the SOC team cross-checks, and if the issue is resolved or if the incident is remediated, we will close the case in SIM. If not, we will reopen the case in Remedy4 and follow up with the subject matter expert. Now coming back to the L1 security analysis, he will have, if the analyst doesn't know whether it's a false positive or a true incident, he will escalate the case to L2 engineer. L2 engineer does a similar activity, like if it's a false positive, he'll close the case, and if it's an incident, he will also open a case with Remedy4. I'll just give you a moment to take a look at various phases here. What metrics do you use in SOC? Now, this is a very important question, and senior people get asked this question a lot. So I would request you to pause the video for some time and read this slide. What do you document in shift handover? Things like shift start time, shift end time, any ongoing issues, incident details of all the incidents that has been raised during the incident, and task handover. Difference between blue team and red team. Red team is responsible for offensive security. Typically, they do penetration testing, exploiting vulnerabilities, social engineering, and various reconnaissance activities. Blue team is responsible for monitoring, detection, and responding to a possible threat. A team that does both red team and blue team activities is called as a purple team. What documents do you create in SOC? Documentation would include things like log source onboarding procedure, log source decommissioning procedure, threat intelligence gathering procedure, threat hunting methodologies, new use case development procedure, staff onboarding procedure, playbook, runbook or SOPs, data and configuration backup procedures. What is SOP, runbooks or playbooks? All three means the same. SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedures, which is basically a step-by-step guide to handle an alert in Security Operations Center, usually followed by security analysts, and these are built by senior analyst, either a SOC lead or a senior L2 engineer. SOPs help in maintaining the quality of analysis and incident documentation. SOPs also reduce the time to respond to an alert. Explain CMM level as applied to SOC. CMM stands for Capability Maturity Model. Determines what is the level at which SOC processes are currently running. The phase starts with initial level 1, in which case we could almost say that there is no SOC team at all. Processes are not defined, and mostly the team works in firefighting mode. That means whenever there is an incident, the team gets into reactive approach. Once we implement SIM, we can take it to a managed state. That means processes are defined but not effectively being followed. A lot of learning and correcting happens at the level 2, that is managed state. And then comes the level 3, which is defined state. Processes are well defined and followed by everyone. And typically we move from reactive approach to being proactive here. Once everybody knows what they are doing, then we can take the SOC to the next level, level 4, quantitatively managed, wherein we will start measuring what we are doing. So basically by implementing KPIs. So based on these KPIs, we will finally reach to the level 5, which is optimized state, where automation of repetitive tasks and improving the quality of and performance will be taken care of. How do you handle a P1 incident in your SOC? In our organization, the SLA of a P1 incident is 30 minutes. We have an internal process of involving a SOC lead within first 10 minutes of a P1 alert. Lead will take a call of which other teams assistance could be required in handling this alert. We also open a bridge call and all the stakeholders will be notified about the incident. However, as a security analyst, I continue to provide the assistance to the lead by pulling reports or checking the status of affected services. What will you do if there are 200 alerts triggered at once? If there are so many alerts, it is most likely possible that the same alert has triggered several times. So I will isolate the duplicate alerts. If there are different alerts, I will sort them by priority and pick the one with high priority and impact. If the triggered alerts are for a new correlation rule, it is possible that it is configured incorrectly. I'll pass this information to the SIM engineer for fine tuning. What do you typically discuss in client calls? We have weekly call with our customers and we discuss things like incident trends, threat indicator summary, SLA reports and KPIs, SIM health report including the EPS, the new log sources added, troubleshooting silent log sources and new correlation rules. That's all for this session. Let's all meet again in the next video.